There's a skill that nobody taught you in any course, any mastermind, or any coaching program that you've ever friggin' been in. And from experience, this one skill can single-handedly control how much money you make. Whether you're a coach, a consultant, an agency owner, or freaking selling digital products out of your living room. And now, I have used this skill to fill a gym with over 300 members in South Florida from scratch, literally from nothing. I've built an online coaching business in the fitness space to multiple six figures. I've used this to close high ticket deals for other people's companies, even. And ultimately, I've now generated over $3 million in sales in a consulting company using this skill. So basically, every single business or position that I've been in to where I've really generated revenue, this skill has been the foundational forefront of what's allowed me to be able to do this. The vehicle has changed every time, but the skill didn't. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what this skill is and why you might not have it yet, but I'm going to show you how to clearly get it. So that way you could stop being the person that chases people, that chases clients, and start being the person that clients chase. So let's get into it. Now, there are two types of people in business, and I need you to be completely honest with yourself about which one you are right now. And when you can see these two types of people, you're going to clearly identify that I'm either person A or person B. And you're going to also be able to clearly see other people that are in maybe your environment that are person A or person B. And so the first type of person in business wakes up every single morning. They might check their phone, not usually because they're excited, but because they're anxious. They have this pit of stress and anxiety in the center of their chest. They're looking maybe for notifications or DMs or replies or some sign, any sign that today might be the day that somebody says yes, that somebody buys. They spend their morning crafting posts, sending follow-up messages, DMing people who ghosted them last week. They're hoping that they got more inbound leads, that their posts finally took off, that they got people that are like, please tell me more. And usually it didn't happen. And so by noon, they're burned. Possibly 2 to 3 hours of outreach that produced nothing or very little. They've scrolled past maybe 2 or 3 competitors who seem to be thriving. They've rewritten their bio or their messaging or their offer for the 4th freaking time this month. And somewhere in the back of their mind, there's a voice that's whispering the thing that they never say out loud. What if I'm just not cut out for this? Why are other people that are arguably less talented than me succeeding? See, that person A, is replaceable, and deep down they know it. Now, let's contrast this to the second type of person in business who wakes up and they check their phone too. But what they see is different. Maybe 3, 4, 5 DMs from people who have watched their content and they want to talk to them. A comment that says, I feel like you're reading my mind. A booking notification from somebody. They see their calendar that's kind of filled up, and in the notes section, somebody's wrote like, hey, I've been following you for 2 weeks and I already know that I want to work with you. These are people that are pre-sold. They don't chase person B. They don't chase people. They don't beg people for business. They don't hustle for attention or try to get vanity metrics. They don't sit in their inbox crafting the perfect cold message or the perfect post to a stranger that's not even going to care. People come to them. People wait for them. People pay premium prices without negotiating because they've already decided that they want to work with this person. Person B, this person is in demand. They're in high demand. Now, here's the difference between these two people, going back to the skill. Because it's not talent, certainly. I've seen people that are extremely good at what they do that are broke. And in fact, unfortunately, the most talented coaches in the industry sometimes are usually the brokest, because they don't know how to communicate what they do, which is going to be segueing into the skill. In fact, it's not even the experience. I've seen people with 10 years of experience who can't freaking fill their calendar with buyers. And it's certainly not charisma. I can tell you that from experience. I was like the most goofy, maybe I still am, but it's not charisma. I can tell you that. Because some of the most magnetic people that I know are terrible at making money. And it's not even the quality of their offer. Because in most cases, the replaceable person has a pretty good offer that is sometimes even better, as I alluded to the in demand person. The difference is this one skill, the one skill that nobody teaches you, not in business school, not in any course that I've been in, not in any mastermind that I've been a part of. And because most people don't even know this skill has a name, quite frankly. So I'm going to tell you what it is. But first, I want to tell you how I figured this out. Because like I didn't personally read about this in a book. I mean, there have been books that have certainly helped give me this insight to kind of synthesize the skill. But personally, I've learned this the hard way, to the school of hard knocks. I used to be the replaceable person. Like I'll call myself out. And I don't mean early in my career. I mean like I was the replaceable person after I'd already built a successful business. Like when I built the gym in South Florida, I filled it from scratch and it was cool. Like I had a lot of like quote unquote, I had built a micro brand, if you will, in my area. Even had investors come in, wanted to franchise it. I looked successful on paper. I didn't feel successful, and I'm going to explain why. But when I went online and I built an online coaching business, I got my business up. We were doing good, multiple six figures. And I did this relatively quickly, under 12 months. And then I pivoted to consulting. But at every single stage, from the gym to the online fitness to consulting to even doing high ticket closing, there was a period where I was grinding in every single one of them. I was chasing, I was posting and praying. I was wondering why people with worse offers than mine were actually making more money than me. It was like blowing my mind. I was like, what the hell am I missing? And at every single stage, there was also a moment where things completely flipped, where I went from chasing to being chased, where the phone started ringing, quote unquote, instead of me having to dial it or do the, cold outreach or try to DM people that are watching my stories or whatever people teach these days. Because I had people showing up that were already sold before I ever opened my mouth. In fact, one of my coaching programs that I had, the in-demand coach, we had a waiting list where there was, at one point, we had 27 people on the waiting list. And this didn't happen by accident. Because here's the thing that took me way too long to see. The vehicle changed in every business. The business models, like literally the industry changed. The audience changed in a couple different cases. But the skill that made me in demand did not change. Not freaking once. I used the exact same skill to fill the gym with paying members that I used to sign over 800 online clients, that I've used to close millions of dollars in high ticket deals. And once I saw that pattern, once I realized this one skill was the only thing separating every broke season that I had from every breakthrough season, something changed in me. I stopped being afraid and having anxiety. Like, not because I got rich, but because I realized that I could never be stuck again. Like, if every business I ever run failed tomorrow, I would have a new one producing revenue by next month. And not because I'm special, but because I own the one skill that makes everything work. And that is what being in demand actually means. So let me be very clear about what this means to you. Because people hear in demand and they think followers, or they think fame, or they think some Instagram fantasy with a laptop on a beach or something like that. And that's not what this is. Being in demand means that you possess a skill that makes you permanently valuable in any market, any vehicle, any economy, at any time. It means you don't worry about algorithms changing because you don't depend on algorithms. Like, you own it. You don't worry about a competitor entering the space because nobody can replicate what you do. You don't panic when revenue starts to dry up because you know in your bones that you can create another revenue stream next week if you have to. And this isn't rare either. This pattern is everywhere once you see it. Like, look at examples like Sarah Blakely, who sold fax machines door to door for like 7 years before she built Spanx into a $1 billion brand. It was a completely different vehicle, but she had the skill, the ability to walk into a room, to understand what somebody needs, and to make them feel it so deeply that they take action. She didn't learn a new skill when she launched Spanx. I mean, I'm sure like to grow the company, yes, but the fundamental core skill, she applied the one that she had built into a different vehicle. The vehicles all can change millions of times, but the skill doesn't. And here's what most people miss about this. The freedom isn't just financial. It's emotional. It's the kind of peace that comes from knowing, not hoping. Knowing that you and your family are going to be fine no matter what the heck happens. This is one thing that I love that Alex Hormozy says, where you could take everything from him, but he is like, my skills and my character traits are the things that give me the confidence that are mine, that I own, that I can take wherever I go. You see, for you, it's not that you are like one bad month or one algorithm change or one lost client away from crisis ever again when you fully step into owning the skill. And that is what in demand means. Okay, so I alluded to it already, but what is the skill? Let's break it down. I know I've been building this up, but I want you to hear what it is not, because most people confuse it with things that sound similar but are completely different, right? It's not marketing. It's not like marketing's a category. That's like saying my skill is sports. Like it tells you nothing. And it's certainly not sales. Like sales is what happens at the end. If you need to be great at sales to close people, you've already lost. It's like an arm wrestling match. The in-demand person doesn't close. They have conversations with people, authentic conversations. The selling happened long before somebody got into a call with them. And dear God, it is not content creation. Content creation is the biggest trap in the online business world at this point. I mean, there are people posting 3 times a day, 7 days a week, spending 40 hours a month producing content that generates exactly $0. They've literally turned themselves into unpaid influencers that call it a business. The skill is this: the ability to create demand. Not attract demand that already exists, not ride a wave that somebody else built, but create it, manufacture it, engineer it out of thin air using nothing but your words, your message, and your understanding of what makes people move. Dan Kennedy, the godfather of direct response marketing, in my opinion, in a lot of people's opinions, a guy who's helped generate billions in revenue for his clients. He said this plainly: the business you are in is of the marketing of your business. Not the delivery, though. Not the fulfillment. Not even the product. Those are all important things, right? But the marketing, the ability to make people want what you have, the ability to create demand. Everything else is overhead, he says. You see, when you can create demand, everything changes. You don't need necessarily more leads all the time. The leads you already have start buying. In fact, I have literally been in the back end of companies that have, in the coaching and consulting space, that have hundreds to thousands of leads in their Go High Level accounts or in their CRMs. And when they can actually tap in, when I show them how to use the right words, the right messaging, the right types of conversion content to create that demand, they literally take the people that they've already spent money on ads for, and they can convert a majority of them into clients. And so you don't want to be the person where you have leads in your pipeline that are either buying right away or rotting on a digital list and dying. You can convert a lot of leads when you know how to create demand. And you don't need a bigger audience. The audience you already have will start paying attention. In fact, I have built the majority of my business and I've generated millions of dollars off an audience of like less than 8,000 people. If I look at the combination between my Facebook group, my email list, and my Facebook page and Instagram page and my various other audiences, maybe combined total of 8,000. It's about going deeper. It's about creating demand. And there's a whole article that a guy named Kevin Kelly wrote on this, talking about a 1,000 true fans. It's like, if you have 1,000 true fans and you know how to create demand within a smaller group of people, it's like, that's the foundation. And of course, more followers, more people, that'll help you grow and make more impact over time, but it's not needed to make money now. And you don't need a better offer. The offer that you already have can start sounding a lot more irresistible if you know how to communicate it so that people perceive it as valuable. And it's not necessarily what's changed inside, unless you had a shitty offer before and you needed to make it better. Most of the time your offer is probably good, but it's because people, like, you changed how people perceive it, basically. So you don't even need to post more. In fact, I did an experiment on this throughout like the last couple of years. I went from posting like every day, did a couple times a day, then I posted like maybe twice a week, and I found the results were pretty staggering. Like when I made sure that the thing, even when I was posting like twice, like 2 to 3 times a week, when I made sure that I was posting content that made people feel something, that shifted people's beliefs, that started to create this demand, like it produced the same exact results. Versus what most people do is they fall into this trap of thinking they need to post more, and that's not necessarily true at all. Now, let me tell you the moment that this clicked for me, because it wasn't like a gradual thing. It was literally in one moment, like one major realization where it was, as Russell Brunson calls, like an epiphany bridge for me that just in my mind, I was just like, this is the thing. You see, this was maybe in 2021 or 2022. I was posting, like everybody was probably then, I was posting tons of educational content, like really good content that people would save, they would share. I would have people comment, DM me, being like, "This is fire," stuff like that. But the problem was nobody was buying. At least not consistent. I had way more tire kickers in my audience than I did people buying, so it was very inconsistent. And the main reason I found was because I was over teaching. And teaching creates learners, and learners don't buy. And so I was mistakenly like training my audience to not buy from me. They were just taking my free stuff as I was putting out tons of lead magnets, tons of trainings. I was doing a live in my Facebook group every week. I was training people not to buy. And they'd come back 6 months later to me and they'd still be stuck, having burned through thousands of dollars on paying other people for strategies that didn't work for them because they didn't have the right words behind them. They didn't know how to create demand. They were just tactic jumping. And this is a lot of times what we're teaching our people. And so for me, the realization happened is one day I made a post that was different than what I was doing before. I wasn't teaching anything in the post. I was telling a story, and well, there was two posts technically during this time if I'm really thinking about it. And I want to be like completely transparent with you on this. So there was a story post that I wrote, and then there was what I call like a demand creator. The story post is what triggered it. Because in the story, I was describing a problem that my audience had. But I was describing it better than they can describe it themselves. Like I knew my audience. I was naming the thing that they felt but couldn't articulate. I was putting words to the frustration that they had been sitting in their chest for months, like the thing that's waking them up at night. And that post blew up, not because of the algorithm by any means, but because it made people feel seen. And when people felt seen, they didn't scroll past it. They stopped, they read it, the algorithm pushed it to more people. I had people DMing me, asking me like, or telling me like, hey, like that really resonated. They're asking me questions about my program. And then during that same time, it was in that same week, I had made a post that was essentially promoting like a live masterclass I was going to do. And that post then blew up. And it was on the back end of that story post. And so I ended up getting like hundreds of people commenting. Immediately, like that same day, I had, I think, 12 or 13 people DM me. And that month, I had my biggest month, which at the time was, it was like between $30,000 and $40,000. I don't remember the exact amount. And so within 30 days of understanding that, like my business started to take off. And month over month, I started to grow until I eventually, within about 8 months, I had crossed over $100,000 in a single month. We did 113K. And it was the same people. I hadn't significantly grown my audience, maybe added a few friends. I wasn't running ads then. And so it was the same people that were there, but they started buying. And the difference wasn't even them. The difference was me. I stopped educating so much and I started to influence people. I stopped creating content and I started creating demand. I started getting people that wanted to see my content, that were like, it was irresistible, it was compelling to them, it was desirable to them. And so there's the late Eugene Schwartz, famous copywriter, and he talks about like you don't need to create desire in your audience. Like people already desire to lose weight, they already desire to make more money, to have better sex, whatever it is that you sell. Are you selling sex? That sounds weird, but you get what I'm saying. They already desire all that stuff. We just need to create demand into our stuff, and that's what I'd figured out how to do. And so I knew that I'd never be replaceable again. And I have never been since. I've always been able to learn how to create demand in any offer that I sell. And so I need to make a very important distinction here, because most people don't understand this particular point. And it's the difference that's costing them in my opinion, everything. Demand is not attention. I repeat, demand is not attention. Attention is cheap. You can buy attention on Meta, on any ad platform. You can beg for attention. You can, take your shirt off and run around outside clucking like a chicken, right? It's kind of like begging for attention. You could dance on camera. I see it every day. It's so dumb. And you can get attention. Unless you like dancing, by the way, then do you, boo. But attention without demand is just noise. It's like people watching you the way they watch TV. They're watching it passively with zero intention of doing anything about it. This is why somebody can have a reel that blows up, but they're still broke. They're not getting clients. Demand is when somebody goes from that's interesting to I need this. Like, I need this in my life. Demand is when they stop comparing you to the other 5 coaches that they've seen or been following, and they start thinking about how they can afford you because you're premium. They want to work with you. Demand is when they show up to a sales call and the first thing out of their mouth is, tell me how to get started. Like, I already know I don't want to work with you. I can't tell you how many times I've had people being like, dude, I've been reading your emails for the last year, or I've watched X amount of videos. I already know I want to work with you. Like, tell me how. And I attribute it to this. There's somebody I studied, a famous marketer. His name is Jay Abraham, one of the highest paid marketing consultants in history. And he understood this better than anyone, in my opinion. He said, if you can articulate somebody's problem better than they can, they'll automatically assume that you have the solution. Think about that. He didn't say teach them the solution. He said articulate the problem. That's the difference between attention and demand. Attention comes from giving people answers. Demand comes from naming the question that they didn't even know they were asking. And demand is created by one mechanism and one mechanism only. You ready for this? Belief. Belief. People don't buy products. They don't buy services. They don't sure as hell buy coaching programs or courses or masterminds. Nobody wakes up in the middle of the night and be like, I need a coaching program. It's like people are buying beliefs. They buy the belief that their problem is different from what they thought. They buy the belief that the old way can't get them where they want to go. They buy the belief that now is the time for them, that the investment is worth it, that your method is different from everything else that they've tried, that they need help, and that you're the right person to provide it. If you can start to shift those beliefs in your content, they will buy from you. If you fail to shift them, they don't. It doesn't matter how good your offer is. It doesn't matter how many testimonials you have. I've seen people that have tons of testimonials and they still can't get clients. It doesn't not matter how many leads you generate. If the beliefs aren't there, if people and there's actually particularly 7 beliefs. And in fact, I'm about to do a full masterclass on the 7 beliefs that you need to shift in order to create a buyer. And this isn't like something that I made up. This is timeless based off of principles. I'm going to be teaching people how to infuse this in your content. If you want to see that workshop, look in the description below for more information. But anyways, if the beliefs aren't there, the sale isn't there. This is why, my friend, some coaches with mediocre offers and small audiences make 50 to 80K a month, while other coaches with incredible offers and massive followings, they can't break through 10K, which is like rookie numbers. The first group knows how to create demand by shifting people's beliefs. The second group knows how to create content. There's a big difference. Content is not the business. Demand is the business. And demand is created with the right words, in the right way, in the right order, to the right people. Now, let me be very direct with you about something here. Because this is the part that should make you either uncomfortable or excited. Hopefully both. You need both to grow. Excitement and uncomfortability. But everything you've been told to do, like just post more, build your audience, run ads, optimize your funnel, hire a setter, cold DM 50 people a day. All of it's downstream of one thing. Your words. If your words don't create demand, none of these strategies work. You're just literally pumping traffic into a machine that doesn't convert. And if your words do create demand, You barely need any of it. You can have a tiny audience. This is how I've done it. You can have a tiny audience producing consistent 30K, 50K, 75K months because every person in the audience is being systematically moved from that's interesting to I need this in my life. I see it, man, over and over again. The coach with 800 followers is out earning the coach with 80,000. Not because they're better at what they do, as I've said. It's because they're better at making people want what they do. And so I'm hoping that I've really laid this point out for you because this has been the thing that's been the catalyst to my success in business. And I want to give to you kind of a finale here of what this really means for you and how to best apply this right now, today. Because being in demand is available to you now. Not in 6 months when your audience is bigger. Not next year when you have more testimonials. Not when somebody, or someday, when you finally figure it out. Right now, with the audience that you already have, with the offer that you already have, with the expertise that you've already built. The only thing between where you are right now and a calendar full of pre-sold buyers is your ability to say the right things to the right people in a way that makes them feel understood, that creates doubt in their current approach, and that positions you as the obvious and only solution. That is the skill. That is the game. And that is the difference between being replaceable and being in demand. And once you have it forever. It doesn't expire. It doesn't depend on the platform. It doesn't require an algorithm's permission. It travels with you in every business, every venture, and every chapter of your life. As I've said, I've used it across many businesses, and I could launch a completely different offer in a different niche next month because I've done this before. It doesn't matter. The skill goes where I go. And that's not just income. That's peace. It's peace of mind. It's the kind of peace that comes from knowing, not hoping, but knowing that you can create money whenever you need to because you understand the one thing that makes people move. So let me leave you with this. You are either in demand or you're replaceable. You are either the person people chase or you're the person doing the chasing. You're either creating demand or you're creating content and praying that it works. There's no middle ground. And the market is making the choice for you every single day, whether you realize it or not. Every post that doesn't convert, every sale that ends with, let me think about it, or every month that falls short of what you know you're capable of, those aren't business problems at all. Those are demand problems. And demand problems are belief problems. And belief problems are messaging problems. And messaging problems are the one category of problem that, once solved, makes every other problem in your business either disappear, at least on the marketing front and sales front, or it makes it just become a lot simpler. Now, if you're watching this and something hit different and you felt that shift in your chest where you went from, this is interesting, to like, I need to do something about this, I have a video that goes deep on the exact framework for how to create demand. And I break down, as I mentioned, it's actually a workshop, the 7 specific beliefs that your ideal client needs to hold before they buy. And I'm going to show you how to shift every single one of them through using storytelling and metaphor and different mechanisms that we can use, different frames to shift beliefs that you can plug into any content that you do, whether it's a post, a video, a masterclass, a challenge, a workshop, whatever it is. And so it's linked down in the description below. You can go ahead and check that out next. And if you're past the learning phase and you already know that this is the problem that you have and you want to fix it, I do what's called a magic messaging makeover call. And on this call, this is where we diagnose your demand problem. We help map out the core beliefs that you need to shift in your audience. I help you come up with the right words in the right way. We build a plan to help you go from replaceable to in demand. And so there's also a link in the description for you to be able to check that out as well. But here's what I want you to take from this video. Whether you watch the next one, you book a call, or do neither, it doesn't matter. The question is not whether you should become in demand. The question is, how much longer are you willing to be replaceable? Think about that. I'll see you in the next one, my friend. Bye for now.